Do you enjoy the Angel of Death series? Then head over to Stevie Jo's website to subscribe to her monthly newsletter. All new subscribers receive a preview of the current Angel of Death work in progress. Plus, all subscribers get free shipping on all orders for 2023. Head over to steviejoauthor.com to subscribe and receive the promo code. The Good Shepherd, 4th in the Angel of Death series. Now available in paperback, hardcover, and dust jacket. Order yours directly from steviejoauthor.com for the lowest price.
Hi everybody! Welcome to The Composition of Imagination. I am your host and author, Stevie Jo, and this is the show where we talk about all things Angel of Death and kind of break down the history of it, the writing process, all that fun stuff. And today I am joined by my fellow book guardians, Tasha and Jason. And if you watched last week's episode, it was a part 1 on the history of Murr County, because we are officially entering the Earth realm in our sort of background discussion, as I would call it. So if you haven't watched that video yet, you can go watch that so that you know all about Murrlance. Today, we are going to talk all about Falshooke Mountain, which has just as storied of a history, but it's a lot more magical, and there's a lot of unknowns because creatures, well, as you'll see, they aren't very good at sharing their history. This is the mountain town of Murr County that's even more south of where we talk about, as you can see in the map right here. It's very rare that humans actually go and visit Falshooke Mountain because this has such a high concentration of creatures and all of that stuff. So it actually is home to one of the highest concentrations of creature populations in the nation. Not the world necessarily, but the nation. It's up there in like the top 5 and 10 consistently for creature population. They know for sure that over 6,000 creatures live in Falshooke Mountain.
Good Lord.
Now, whether or not there's more than that, we can't say, because some of them live so deep in the mountain that they don't come out for anything. They just have their own, and nobody will go in. You know, I mean, would you want to, knowing what's out there?
But if you're trying to find a cure for the creature problem, wouldn't you sit there and just, I guess, send sacrificial lambs in there to find out?
Census Bureau, dude.
Yeah, basically.
Knocking on people. Hey, how many been here?
Yeah.
Oh, we lost that one.
He's terrified, and
I mean,
well, you might come up with a cure, but if there's different creatures that they've never come across, then let's face it, their vaccine doesn't work.
That is a good point. Basically, the forest area around the actual mountain itself in Falshooke Mountain is so dense, and it's to the point where authorities of Murr County have signage up along the boundary where it slopes down into the foothills and stuff. They have signage up warning hikers not to venture farther than about 2 or 3 miles in, or they'll get lost and go missing. I mean, how many people probably have done that and went missing for them to have to put that sign up?
Probably, if they were doing a census of missing people, they probably did it for number of years, and then they sit there and gave the information back to Murrlance, and they were like, have you noticed how many people went missing on this mountain?
Yeah.
You might want to put signs up.
Yeah. So now, anyway, because of the density of the woods of Falshooke Mountain, like I said, no one really knows exactly how many creatures exist in there. The ones that live in the mountain proper, they really keep to themselves. They have their own little communities. They stay out of the way of humans. They basically, lichens
they
can
probably
live.
not even bumped into
No, lichens can live off of the land. They hunt wild game. You know, they know how to build, if they learn how to build houses and stuff, there could probably be some lichens living in there, like it's still 1862. but no one has noticed because that's how it is up there. We just don't know.
About, like in the wintertime, having a fire or anything like that. So
they have a fur fucking goat.
Exactly. Well, so
they only naturally change during the full moon.
Well, they can make themselves
change, but they're not going to spend.
I did not know you were a lichen expert all of a sudden.
Ha ha ha. Most of the time they do change during the full moon cycle.
Right.
And if they feel threatened.
Okay, so why can't they change to keep themselves warm?
They could.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, now I will say that some of the lichens who live a little further down toward the base than the foothills, they will maintain jobs in Murrlands and stuff because they want to keep tabs on what's going on.
Yeah.
And they kind of want to see what's happening with the humans because that low to the actual population and civilization, they hear things. So they like to check on things and see what's going on, make sure their families aren't threatened, like a good...
And they probably can sit there and communicate with the other creatures up the mountain.
Whomever lives in the mountain, actually, that's their hunting ground. They will not go, most of them will not go and hunt in Murrlands.
Mm-hmm. So
they probably have that little, circle of communication in there. So,
wow.
So, Falshooke Mountain is widely considered to be an independent peak. We're talking about the mountain itself, the physical structure. An independent peak of good old Appalachia. So, if you're from anywhere in the States in this area, you know the Appalachian Mountains, and it's considered its own little peak of it that got its own name and everything. The place has been around, as far as we can tell, it has been around since wildlife was first documented, and most likely even before that, because we don't know anything before that. In fact, legend has it that creatures existed on Earth before humans, and the story goes that the very first creatures, supposedly the mythics, were birthed under the shade of Falshooke Mountain as they drank the water of Alchemic Falls.
Is that correct, Dr. Superman?
Hi.
So...
Yes, it is. They were around before the time of dinosaurs. They actually helped create dinosaurs as protection so that the little humans that
from the cavemen.
They rode him into battle.
Yeah. Oh my God, all I can see is Futurama, the Oktoberfest episode. Fry is the Neanderthal and Leela's got the chicken hat. And, oh my gosh, okay. Anyway, you can tell I love Futurama. Anyway, so of course, none of these places were called Alchemic Falls, Falshooke Mountain, all that at first. They were just mountain waterfall, primitive things. The humans are the ones that gave them those names based on what they saw from things like Alchemic Falls, the magic in it, alchemy, that kind of thing. And the humans, and the humans find it very hard to believe. I'm sure we're not surprised at this. The humans find it very hard to believe that mythics are the first beings to walk the earth because, after all, Adam and Eve were human, weren't they?
Yeah. Makes you wonder, but it does make you wonder if mythics were potentially angels that came down to Earth and just stayed. And they managed, and because of the magic of the mountain, they kept a lot of the magic that they had that was imbued to them as angels. Just not enough for them to sprout wings and fly back. Right.
So that kind of is a good segue into my first kind of discussion question about it.
Nice.
Do you think that the quote-unquote legend of the mythic being the first creature and all that, do you think it's true? Or do you agree with the humans that, no, Adam and Eve were human, blah, blah, blah?
There was animals before Adam and Eve. Mm-hmm. Because Adam had to, if I remember correctly, Adam was the one who named the animals. So that means animals were there before Adam.
Right.
And if Adam was the first person, so why couldn't Mythics
He was
be there?
the first, I guess you would say, pure blood human, so to speak.
Was he though?
Was he? Remember, this is alternate
This
universe.
is going to be
Angel of
comments
Death.
that are going to be just wildly divergent, okay?
You know, I ask it because this is an alternate universe to ours. So anything's possible.
Anything is possible. But it also leads to the question of, did the Mythics actually create the creatures?
That's a good question, too.
As pets.
You never know. Actually, you will know. You'll find out in a few years.
Boy, that'd be really disheartening if the Lycans found out that the Mythics created them just to be pets.
Well, think
and
about
the
it.
Sanguis.
Think about.
I mean, even though
dogs-
I still hold to, they still sort of fall to me as part of the biblical reference of the fallen angel.
Okay.
But I mean, think about it. Dogs were originally wolves, and they were wild animals, and now I can get me a little Pomeranian.
Yeah, and then you
now I could have a dog as a pet.
Yeah, they were domesticated.
Right. So why couldn't Mythics domesticate Lycans for a brief period of time?
Yeah, but how do we know Lycans existed at the same time as Mythics?
Because what if Mythics made the Lycans?
Yeah, that was my question to begin with.
That's what I'm saying. If they made them, how do we know they didn't make them to be pets and or protectors?
Well, that much you will find out in the Lycan trilogy.
Oh,
you'll find out most of that in the Lycan trilogy.
So basically, if they created them to be pets, some of the pets got through the fence and went out in the woods.
Maybe.
And next thing you know, we've got a whole population of Lycans that can assume human form as a way to hide themselves from the Mythics.
Why not?
Yeah, that's possible.
Think about an abused dog.
Yeah.
They're not going to go back to that house.
Yeah. No.
Where they keep being abused at.
But they also like freedom, and they're just...
Yeah.
And they may not have been abused. They might have just sit there and just wanted to see what was on the other side of that fence.
Yeah. Curiosity always
kills the cat.
Now, here's a pot-stirring kind of question. Do you think that creatures just made up that legend about the Mythics because they hadn't yet seen it humans, and so that was just a tale that got passed on, posing as truth?
Possible. But any legend, all legends have a nugget of truth in it.
They do.
So it's very possible that they were the first.
Yeah.
And then maybe got bored. You know, maybe having just nothing but Mythics around, after a while it's like, yay.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I need something else. So they created other creatures.
The magic and power that floats in the mountain air in Falshooke Mountain, purely undeniable. Because it is so strong. Everybody recognizes it. So, it is worth noting here that we don't know a lot about the history of Falshooke Mountain because of the way that creatures recorded it or didn't record it. So, basically, it started out as all pure oral history. The creatures would just pass it on to their families and basically, and they kind of perfected how to pass it along so that all creatures knew the same things, which really is an amazing feat to keep not like the game of telephone where, it screws up by the end. No, they were very careful and protective over this, keeping it the same throughout the whole thing. And of course, magic helps, having the magic around helps maintain that. What little history might have been written down was kept strictly among individual families or communities and stuff like that, and it was not shared with outsiders. So that's why in the Merlance video, last week's video, that's why a lot of scientific information about creatures wasn't known until the 50s and 60s, because the creatures kept themselves so closely guarded. You know, so it's only when they start working with humans and trusting them and stuff like that that they reveal little tidbits here and there.
Trusting them?
Trusting.
Yeah.
You know. If a family lived in Falshooke Mountain and decided they didn't want to live there anymore and they moved somewhere else, that history traveled with them and never really returned unless a member of the family returned back. Yeah. So that's or if they died, it was buried alongside them. Even if it was written down, it was buried with them so that it would never be found, because that's how protective they.
Now, see, Cordelia, all she needs to do is get a bunch of people with shovels and just start digging up around the mountain, and they would find all kinds of stuff.
The creatures would have a fit. Oh, my goodness.
Hey, nothing stops James or Cordelia. Come on now.
Ruthless aggression. We talked about that. So, now, it is an important note here that Falshooke Mountain is still under the governance of Murr County. So, and James's mayoral rule. So it's not like
why hadn't you tried to burn the whole freaking mountain down?
Well, here's why. Here's why. That's a good question. A long time ago, the state, Kentucky itself, recognized Falshooke Mountain as a refuge for creatures. So they deemed it a historic landmark.
Now, wait a minute. You have the Jerichos for over a century running that county, building up all that power, and you're telling me they didn't have enough pull to go up to Frankfurt and sit there and say, okay,
no, because Turtle wouldn't let them.
Probably.
I mean, seriously,
he's been around since the dawn of time, too.
And
part of the reason that they didn't do it is because of the treaty they had between the creatures and humans.
But
and for a long time, it was still kind of respected.
Well, I mean, it may be respected, but if you're trying to find a cure, and get the creatures out, and then the state government and probably federal too, sit there, designated that a refuge for all creatures. So that means, okay, I've already got a problem, and now you just sit there and dumped even more problems onto me because I can't do anything with this mountain.
The potential for the creatures to
population. And I mean, you know what? Who says that? You know, you could have a really dry summer and just have a really bad forest fire. You know.
Yeah.
Well, it's natural.
Well, you know.
Well, they say it's natural, but come on, how many times have been started by somebody flicking a cigarette?
What if it's protected by the magic? You know, because like I said, the history of Falshooke Mountain is one that is so cloaked in magic that you just can't.
It almost has a dampening
breathe
effect.
The air without feeling like you got magic, like all of a sudden filling your lungs. You know what I mean? It's.
You know, actually, it may have a dual effect, because the reason why Merlance, granted, the Jerichos were sitting there running it and stuff, but it's also a small town, kind of cut off from what we would consider civilization.
Right. I mean, it's an hour and a half southeast of here.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of cut off. Those kind of towns generally they're not successful enough to where they maintain any sort of population.
Yeah.
They'll go a lot. They'll get big, then they'll go away.
Yeah.
But usually it's because you'll have like a lot of industry and stuff.
Yeah.
There's not that much industry there.
Nope.
So what if the magic from the mountain actually does make its way into Merlance, and it sort of protects the town and keeps it viable and vibrant.
Falshooke Mountain today is pretty damn close to the Falshooke Mountain of the very beginning, whenever that was. If it was created at the dawn of time, it's still pretty much the same. And a few things have changed down near the foothills of it, and that's what the map focuses on. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
So if you drive the mountain highway, which is that main vein, like 192, that goes through, or I guess here it'd be New Circle, maybe.
Wait,
yeah.
Would it be a circle or be more like...
No, I'm just talking about a main vein road.
Sort of be like a Mountain Parkway or the Hal Rogers Parkway.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that connects them together. If you follow that road out of Murr, south out of Murr, and then you go further southeast into Falshooke Mountain, you'll be in, it runs actually all the way to the edge of the dense forest, and then of course they just stopped paving it because they were like, I'm not going in there. I'm not going to do that. So then it kind of got, as people who lived in that lower level kind of drove in and out, it got graveled and stuff like that. But the deeper you go and the higher up in the mountain you go, it's just like a dirt path that's barely visible, that you really got to look for because not a lot of people travel it. We're not going to go that deep into the mountain. We're actually starting about 8 miles from the Murr border, and we are going to start with Alchemic Falls. So
that's the one I've been waiting for.
Let's get the big one out of the way. So this is the magical waterfall that exists in Murr County, specifically Falshooke Mountain. It is considered one of the most romantic locations in all of Kentucky. So, again, hot spot for tourism. The roaring, rough waters of the falls have the tendency to glow different hues under the moonlight, depending on the moon's phases and the season. So it really gives off that nice, like, hey boo, you want to go camp down at the falls? Kind of a fun thing. Sometimes the waters of it are that beautiful, classic, sparkling blue that you just want to fill a whole bowl of and drink it because it looks so fresh.
So it looks just like the picture.
Yes.
On the cover.
On the cover, yes. Sometimes it looks like that. Other times it can be that nice, deep aquatic green where you're like, ooh, that's a beautiful lagoon. Yeah. So, it just depends on when you go there and how the weather is and all that. According to historians, Alchemic Falls existed on Earth long before any wildlife, any creatures, any humans. So this thing is fucking old as time. Regardless of who the first creatures were to encounter the falls, today it's home to the single highest concentration of merfolk in the entire world.
That makes sense. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. So the sightings of merfolk, however, if you go to visit there, are incredibly rare. And a lot of people go to Alchemic Falls specifically with the goal of, I want to see a mermaid. Merfolk are not zoo animals. They're not just...
They're very reclusive.
They're not in Alchemic Falls because they're trapped there. They're in Alchemic Falls because they live there. This is their natural habitat. So they actually have no need to surface whatsoever. So you can call for them all you want, but you'll be blue in the face before they actually come up there.
Some drunk country boy, here, fishy, 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 fishy.
And they only really come to the surface when they feel like feasting on human or creature flesh. They don't care which one. They totally don't care.
Wow.
Either one will do because they don't discriminate. They're like, motherfucker, I live here. Have you seen me?
No, we haven't.
I'm gonna eat your ass. Ew.
They're like piranhas.
Well done.
Part of the reason why the merfolk sightings are so rare is because, in part, of how deep the falls goes. In fact, no one actually knows how deep that pool goes. So on the cover of the book, we're talking about the little lagoon looking thing in the front. No one knows how deep that goes. And here's the fun thing. Throughout history, divers could never dream of going as deep as what it does. They have gone down there before and they cannot make it to the bottom.
I wonder how they were able to do it and not get killed.
if they live way down there.
But still, do you really want to take that chance?
Now, here's another fun thing. Submersibles.
They weren't hungry.
That's possible too, but I still wouldn't want to take that chance.
Submersibles have even tried to go to the bottom, but they still can't find it. And they still can't find the bottom of it. And when they return to the surface, they're like battered and damaged from both the pressure, because you know that pressure is going to take a toll, but they're also damaged from the merfolk.
What are you doing down here?
You know, they do. Because a submersible can go farther than a person diving.
Yeah.
So if they do encounter the merfolk, they're like, motherfucker, you get out of my territory. Like, merfolk are very territorial creatures.
Yeah.
So, it is speculated that merfolk colonies exist down there, but what they look like, if they really do exist, nobody knows. But the fun fact about the submersible going down there, this is an actual fact. The deepest a submersible has gone in the ocean of our Earth is 35,000 feet.
Yeah, Challenger deep.
So, like, that's really fucking deep.
Yeah.
And if they still haven't hit the bottom of Alchemic Falls, how deep is this thing?
Or could it be the magic of Alchemic Falls? That maybe they are at the bottom, but because of the magic, it tricks them into thinking that they're still falling.
It could be. If it's not the magic and it really is that deep, I mean, you have to think, it's probably deeper than 40,000 feet. We're also, and keep in mind just the question of the depth of the falls, because we're going to switch now and talk about the height of the falls. So this is also really interesting because no one knows how tall the falls is. It is considered the tallest waterfall in the world because they have accurately measured it to 12,000 feet.
Whoa, wow.
But they know there's still more. But no one can survive going up that high because of the altitude.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking like super thin air. So, according to researchers who determined that height, let's see, the dense forestry and the suffocating fog that are up in that altitude prevent climbers from scaling it without serious injury or death. And Alchemic Falls has actually claimed a lot of lives in just the name of answering the questions about its mystery. Flyover views don't work because it's the same thing. And now that is probably a lot to do with magic, like you keep saying. Because
yeah, with today's technology.
Yeah.
Because even this alternate universe, they have, cell phones.
Oh yeah, they have
and
very
GPS
similar
and everything.
technology.
So you're talking about satellites up in space looking down, and the magic is so powerful it still blinds it.
Exactly. So that's why no one really knows. They have confirmed 12,000 feet, and they know there's more, but they don't know how much more.
Talk about Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, right? So clearly, there are a ton of unknowns here with Alchemic Falls. Sometimes nature just baffles us, refuses to fill us in on the joke, whatever. And this is a prime example of it. So my speculative question for Alchemic Falls here is this. Even though they say that they have actually scaled 12,000 feet, do you really think that Alchemic Falls is that tall and that deep? Or do you think that it's just the magic that's creating that illusion?
I think it's magic creating that illusion because...
almost like a defense mechanism.
Yeah, because what you're talking about, basically you've got Mount Everest in eastern Kentucky. And, well, even in an alternate universe, you would have every mountain climber...
oh, for sure.
known to all existence wanting to climb that. Not necessarily to see the top of the falls.
Yeah.
They would just climb it just to get to the top. And they can only confirm 12,000. So I want to say that it's probably it may actually be maybe a little bit taller than that, but the magic just basically confuses everybody.
Right.
And makes them think, well, that too. Yeah. But with modern technology, you can sit there and get air tanks and stuff like that to be able to make it up. So you could scale it with the thin air, but I mean, unless you got something up there that's letting air traffic controllers know that it's there.
Yeah.
That might be a problem.
Yeah.
So it has to be magic of some form that's covering. And who's to say there isn't something up there that's watching everything going on?
That's true.
Might be the home of the Guardian.
So the funny thing is, because of the big mystery around this, scientists are kind of like, that's so not worth my time anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they just kind of gave up because they're like, this has taken way too many lives and I have other things I need to worry about. So I'm just not going to worry about this anymore. But it is still a favorite spot of residents and visitors alike when they come to Falshooke Mountain. So the pool of the falls that we were talking about, is incredibly wide as well. It's a big pool. And it's simply beautiful to look at, to kind of paint more of a picture of it. There's, like you see on the cover, I mean, Keith did a fantastic job capturing my vision for that, because there's just flowers and thick trees all around it. Series of rocks that kind of were sitting jagged around it have been eroded over time, so people sit on the ledge, and fallen logs have become benches, and just all kinds of really relaxing, beautiful things about Alchemic Falls. In the peak of summer, this goes back to the romantic location. In the peak of summer, kids will do what kids do, and teenagers like to take their dates to Alchemic Falls and kind of make it like a make-out point. That's a good way to get into her pants, I guess. Others...
It's the magic.
Yeah. Others, teen and adults alike on this one, because even in some of the books, you see Sebastian be like, where's the kid, or there's an adult that's been attacked by a mermaid or something like that. So kids and adults alike tend to be a bit more daring than they should be during the summer months, and they will try to...
It's the heat.
Yeah, they will try to purposefully reach into the water and like splash around to entice a mermaid, like how you would splash to get a dolphin's attention or something. They're like, hey, so like you said, here, fishy, like trying to get them to come up. And
with alcohol involved?
It very well could be. I mean, we are talking about Kentucky. So, because we're the home of bourbon, that's why I say that. But here's the thing. When they do that, yeah, the mermaids come. Yeah, they're going to come and investigate what the hell you're doing. But they're not coming to make friends.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that's like somebody coming in and knocking on your window, your door.
Yeah.
To try to get your attention, and then they wonder why they get shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did you shoot me? Why the hell were you banging on my doors and windows?
Yeah. And the interesting thing about merfolk, we'll talk more about them later when we talk about creatures and stuff, creatures versus humans. But the interesting thing about merfolk is mermaids are like 95% of the time the only ones who will surface, because they are the hunters.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that have the siren-like call, and they can look beautiful like the mermaids that you see in movies, The Little Mermaid or the mermaids in Peter Pan and all that kind of stuff. They look beautiful, but then whenever you're captured in their siren call, they're these vicious...
Like in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. So the way that's a good reference, the way that I equate there whenever I was writing how they look, the best way I equate it is Melina from Mortal Kombat.
Actually, that, or you could have even used...
Baraka.
That was good, too. But
some of
the when they were doing the games in Harry Potter...
Oh, yeah.
Because they had a type of merfolk in that.
Yeah.
And at first they look pretty, and then you saw what they really look like, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah. I always equate them to when you see Melina in combat, and she's got her mask on, and she looks beautiful, just like Katana. But the difference is when Katana takes her mask off, she's still beautiful. When Melina takes hers off, she's like, rah. So, and that's going to be the freeze frame for this video. So that's what happens. Needless to say, when a mermaid does reveal herself to curious intruders, they usually have to be rushed to the ER right after, if they're not taken down.
Yeah.
With them for food. And to make matters worse, there's always that crowd of Jags who cannot leave well enough alone. Please leave well enough alone. So, since Alchemic Falls, yeah.
I love how you call them Jags.
Well, that's my inner Yinzer at heart coming out, Since Alchemic Falls has such a high concentration of magic, you never know how it's going to affect somebody. So not only are the merfolk being interrupted and, kind of abused in a way, like they're circus animals by these curious people, but the water itself is being abused by curious people. So the magic that's in the water, to some, it can be healing. Yeah. To others, more often than not, it can be very deadly. It just depends on you. And by that, I mean whether or not you're a creature or a human. Because creatures have that natural magic in them, so they're a little more immune to the consequences of the magic in the falls. Whereas humans get very sick and or die. Some humans, unfortunately or fortunately for Darwinism, some humans have tried to drink from the falls pool, and they are very quickly poisoned. Yeah. A lot to their death. Some they can be cured, but they're never the same. I mean, Yeah. So, interestingly enough, only humans have ever been killed by consuming or even swimming in Alchemic Falls. Creatures have the ability to immerse themselves without much consequence, which is how Ava was able to do that and get healing for her, or tried to get healing for her bite. They do still, though, creatures do still have to watch out for merfolk, because you've got a very narrow window of being in that water before the merfolk are like, listen, you smell that? There's my Ghostbusters reference for you. So, basically, now, knowing that no human has ever survived contact with Alchemic Falls water, really, I mean, if they're cured from it, they're not the same. So knowing that a human is permanently altered or killed by contact with Alchemic Falls water, do you think that gives more credit to the legend that the first being created was the mythic? Yes. Versus... No, we have to be human. We're Adam and Eve.
It is kind of interesting because can the magic of the falls turn a pureblood human? As you say, it alters them. Mm-hmm. But does that mean they could take on creature attributes?
No, that means that it's almost like if you have, a really bad seizure or something, and you're permanently altered. Or like, those shows that used to be, I don't know if they still are, but they used to be on like TLC where it was like, I should have died, and they had they had like a weird thing, or monsters inside me, where they had a weird parasite inside them, and now they're not the same. They're alive, but they're not the same. That's like what the falls does to a human. It makes them like, they could have had to have like part of their stomach removed or something, or like a quadruple bypass because it impacted their heart or something like that. So you never know.
So if you're a like fully healthy human and you went into the falls, say you swam around, and lived to tell about it.
Yeah, lucky.
You were altered in some form.
Yes. Yeah.
And let's say somebody that's got stage 4 cancer goes in, potentially could get healed, but they would have some other I wouldn't say ailment, but they would probably have to use a respirator at times, or different times a year.
If it was a human that had cancer and went in, they would probably die.
Oh, it is
in the water.
Okay, so it wouldn't heal them.
Nope, it only works to heal creatures because the magic within the creature's DNA kind of helps protect them. Yeah. Now the other places aren't quite as magical as Alchemic Falls, not quite as romantic or anything like that, but and they're not even really as mysterious, but they're still very relevant, very worth discussing. First of all, as you can see on our little map that we've got, I'll have to show you guys the map, it's funny and cute. As you can see from our little map, there's a farm just inside the border. When you're taking the mountain highway down, it's right there, just like maybe a mile from the border of Murrlance and Falshooke Mountain. Well, this is the house of Sonny and Julia McCoy. They are the only, well, Sonny is one of the few humans who actually do live out in Falshooke Mountain. And there is a reason for that. We will do a character analysis of both of them in a future video, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with who they are, but I will talk about the history of Sonny's family and the McCoy farm because it's very important to the area. Sonny is a legacy owner of this farm. It has been in his family for generations, just like Murrlance has been in James's family for generations. But it did start out much smaller and more quaint than what it is now. The McCoy farm is the first property seen once you cross the border into Falshooke Mountain, and it currently sits at 30 acres. Huge amount of land.
Yeah.
Sonny only actually uses about 20 of that for actual business and farming. He uses the other 10 as a buffer because he doesn't like everybody being around. He just wants his farm, his wife, and his own thing.
And he's looking to add more.
I can relate to that.
Right, though?
On some days,
you just feel like having that 10-acre buffer.
Like, you just want, like, all right.
No, he wants another 20-acre buffer.
Well, he does want more of a buffer because he doesn't like that the bar is there and all that, which we'll get into.
All those damn alcoholics.
Yeah. So, Sonny is a homebody. He doesn't care for the folks of Murrlance too much. So he really keeps himself immersed in this little bubble with his wife, Julia. They do, on the McCoy farm, they grow a really, really wide variety of fruits, vegetables, grains. They grow hemp, which is legal in Kentucky. And they also butcher a ton of livestock because he's got a bunch of animals that he raises and butchers. And he has a really, really large staff. So when you were talking about industry earlier, this is the closest to industry that Murr County gets.
Yeah.
Because he is one of the largest employers of the county. Because he has a ton of farm hands, and they help him, harvest everything or butcher the livestock. He sells it to the people of Murrlance, like restaurants, stores, individuals who are at farmers markets, like that kind of thing. Sonny himself has gotten so well known that he even sells to some places in neighboring counties. But he will not sell to anyone farther than what he could drive without putting the food in a cooler. Yeah. Because he wants to maintain that integrity of his, good Murrlance fresh crops. So he's very particular about who he sells to, and he is considered a local treasure because he provides all of that. So when they say it's locally grown, they really mean it is locally grown.
It's locally grown. Oh, it's McCoy farm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I had to work for that fool one time. Yeah, that wasn't worth it.
So he actually employs the fun thing about his employment, he employs at any given time 100 or more.
Yeah.
Farm hands,
with that
it's so big. Yeah. And here's the nice thing about Sonny. He doesn't like creatures too much. I mean, they've never done anything to hurt him. He's just like, you keep over there and I'll keep over here. But if a creature's coming to him looking for a job, yeah, he'll hire you. Because the more help he can get, the better. As long as you do a good job and you do your work, don't steal from him, don't, none of that stuff. So he doesn't discriminate in his hiring, which is refreshing for a member of Murr County, I would say. House itself that sits on the farm, just to paint a picture for you, it's your atypical 2-story classic farmhouse, with the big porch, not a wraparound, but a big front porch out there. And, it's got, the porch is covered, steps leading. He's got a gravel driveway that's actually like probably about a half mile long. I
see like trucks coming up and dust flying. Yeah,
I mean, because he's got a huge like open area where these trucks and stuff can park and all of that. He has large picture windows in every room, and honestly, a lot of its original structure is still there. I would argue more so than the Jericho home in Merlance.
That would make sense if you live basically by yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
That you would add on a little bit, but really it's still the same structure.
Yeah. The farmhouse itself has been on that land since the very first McCoys built it, and they are such hard workers that really it's never needed a facelift because they do such a good job at maintaining their livelihood. Obviously, it gets the usual upgrades of like technology. So when better stoves came out, they equipped it with that. Plumbing, all of that, because of course when it was first built they didn't have indoor plumbing most likely. So because the McCoy family, aside from those essential upgrades to maintain living, Sonny has not spent a dime on renovating his house or anything. So he is fucking loaded and nobody really knows it. As far as the TLC of the house goes, Sonny was real glad to get married because he's still a little old-fashioned, and he figured, this is what Julia's for. Now that I got a wife, she can help maintain the house. And that worked out really well for about, 18, 19 years or so. And then Julia became wheelchair-bound. So, now he's like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? I got a farm to tend to.
Yeah, and the asshole couldn't sit there and even try to, do upgrades to help her out.
Yeah. So, it is, because of the question that I'm going to pose here, it is worth noting Sonny and Julia do not have kids. It's not that they don't want them, it's that with her being wheelchair-bound, obviously it's a little more difficult. So, what do you think will happen, if anything should happen, to Sonny and Julia? Like, will the farm survive? Will anybody even really notice that they're no longer receiving goods from the McCoy farm? Or will life just go on as usual because there are, in fact, other farms willing to supply their crops to Murr County?
No, I think they'll notice. Like, people will notice.
Yeah.
They'll
especially
notice.
Quality. Even if they get stuff from other farms, they're going to notice the different quality.
Yeah.
Unless those other farms are
they'll know when Monsanto starts coming in with their genetically modified goods.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it might take them a little bit longer than what it should.
Right.
But I feel like once, restaurants aren't getting deliveries, and places aren't getting their deliveries that they would normally get.
Yeah.
If they know they're supposed to get a delivery from McCoy Farm on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, it starts to trail off.
Yeah.
I feel like people would notice and businesses would notice.
True, but Sonny doesn't seem the type. Granted, the buck stops with him.
Right.
Right, he did.
But
so he did. What are you going to do? There's nobody else to run the farm because they have no kids. So it's not
true.
So what would happen to the farm?
I feel like it would just...
as much as the buck does stop with him...
The workers are going to stop once they're not getting paid.
Oh, yeah.
But
so
the thing
everything
I'm pretty sure... I want to give benefit of the doubt that he understands that, one, he's getting old.
Yeah.
and he's not going to be around forever. Yeah, he doesn't have a kid. Well, let's shed some tears for that. But I want to make sure that the family farm keeps going, because he understands the responsibility he has to the town and the county. So he's probably got somebody that just hasn't been introduced yet that would step up.
I mean, unless he's training the farmhand to do so.
We don't know that.
But I mean,
the only time
it can't be a real old guy. It can't be an older person. It would have to be a real young person to keep it going for as many years. But then again, that person, like Sonny's really going to have to trust that person.
And who's to say he doesn't have one?
And that to make sure it's going to run like he was still there.
I understand that. But Sonny doesn't seem the type that he's just gonna, I'm gonna run this till I die, and then
what if he's working one day and he has a heart attack? It's not like...
Yeah, and he understands that. That's one thing through the books, even though you don't see Sonny that much.
Right.
He has it in certain parts, whether I think it was mostly in the first book, kind of reference the fact that he's not getting any younger.
Oh, yeah.
And that, he needs to look at it as he understands his responsibility. He understands he's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
And that there's going to have to be something done.
Yeah.
So that this continues, because he understands his responsibility. But we haven't seen enough of Sonny. You've touched on him, but not enough to where, you devote, let's say, 3 chapters on just his day-to-day stuff. Right. So you understand. He may have somebody that's, he's grooming to take over. That he may look at it as, surrogate son.
I don't know. I feel like Sonny's the kind of dude that's going to pay you under the table.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he is.
He's not going to have payroll. Like, you're not going to get a bunch of health benefits. Like, you're not going to get insurance.
Actually, no. For them to sit there and be able to say he's the largest employer, then he has to.
But there could be, what she's saying is there could be someone else that he doesn't report on his payroll.
Well, yeah, that's with any farm.
Like, I'm just saying, he may not, just because he might be the largest employer, what's his turnover rate?
Yeah, actually, he may not have that much of a turnover rate.
Or he might have a huge turnover rate. I'm just saying, I don't foresee Sonny really, because as secluded as he wants to be, and as private as he kind of wants to be, I don't foresee him really getting like a payroll, like HR and payroll, and here, you need insurance? You're with Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Yeah.
Here's your Anthem. It covers vision.
You don't know that.
Right, I don't know that. But like, so I just feel like,
he comes across as your usual farm boy.
He will literally be like, okay, here, you work today?
Yeah.
Okay, here's your $300 for the day, or here's your $100 for the day. And just gives you cash under the table, and that's why he might be a larger employer, because you get cash that day or that week or whatever, and it's under the table. You don't have to you're not taking taxes out.
I mean,
you know what I mean? I'm sure he might have to pay some taxes.
I'll put it this way. The Sonny we know up to this point has, obviously, he has some flaws.
Oh, yeah.
Some very big flaws.
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't really come across, because he likes to get his hands dirty, so he likes to be out there with the workers.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, if you're a supervisor and you're getting your hands dirty, basically the low-level guys are seeing that. One, it's probably making them stay on their toes, because, he's there. But it also shows that he actually cares about what's going on.
Right.
So,
because at the end of the day, it is his land, his crops, his name.
And he likes doing that. He likes being out there with them.
Yeah.
So that says to me that he probably doesn't have a lot of turnover. That the people that work there really, I don't say enjoy,
But they respect him.
They respect him. They respect him, and he probably does pay them what they do.
Yeah.
So I don't really see that he has a huge amount of turnover, because if that was the case, then the town would be kind of concerned, because it's like, dude, you're going through these people like pouring water out of a faucet. You're gonna run out of people. Nobody's gonna want to work for you. You're gonna have to change something up, or we're gonna have to figure out a way to annex your property so we can make sure this food keeps coming in. And towns have done that.
Hopefully we won't have to see what happens.
Yeah.
If anything should happen. But, as it stands right now in the books, Julia is at the death lab, as he coined it. She's at the death lab. So he's running this whole show by himself. No, he's not wrong. That is where he really starts to... He doesn't have a lot of appearances through these books so far, but the appearances he does have leave an impact.
Yes, they do.
And shifting gears to the next location of Falshooke Mountain, the Devil's Fountain.
I'm so excited.
Lord.
Let's talk about the history of this place, because this is one of my favorite places in the whole county.
I feel like that's where I would go.
Yes. I want to hear your opinion.
And it has a very interesting history. So, in order to talk about the history of the Devil's Fountain, we have to talk about the history of alcohol use in Murr County.
Okay. Yes.
So, let's just kind of do a quick history on Murrlance that I did not touch on in the last video, specifically because it was going to be in this one. Murrlance itself is a dry city. That is an important distinction between city and county. After John, James's dad, as you may or may not recall from the last video, John is James's dad, and in the 70s he was brutally mauled on stage while giving a press conference in front of everybody, including his own son. So, naturally, James is absolutely traumatized, and I would say, for all his faults and how wrong it is that he's, criticizing creatures this way, he is valid in his hatred because of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that he's not, because man, you see somebody kill your dad, and you're just like, I hate that whole species, because they could have controlled themselves, but they chose not to, is his thinking.
Yeah.
Right. So, now...
And not seeing the other side of the coin on that.
Yes. But so, now when his dad died, he went into this real depression where you said he needed psychotherapy. Yes, he did. Did he get it? Absolutely not. Instead, he turned to...
Eastern Kentucky. That wasn't it, especially in the 70s. Yeah. That's not really a thing.
No, you smoked a joint and got it.
Yeah, it's very taboo. You just get over it. So... He started drinking in excess. He would go to the church and pray and be drunk and smash bottles, like the atypical asshole who's got a vendetta against somebody for something that hurt him in the past.
Wow, that's the best description I've ever heard of a lot of people.
Yeah. Sylvia, his wife, who was his wife at the time that John died as well, they've been married forever. She did not like the direction James was going, because obviously it's not only deadly to himself or others, but it's just not good as a mayor.
Yeah.
Who's running this town if he's over there getting drunk? So she worked with him and the other, mayoral staff and legislators and stuff that sit in the county to basically prohibit the sale and consumption of alcohol within Murrlance city limits. So there you have it, being a dry county.
Dry city.
Or dry
city, yes, thank you. Stores were absolutely, it happened like that. As soon as they said, yep, we're doing this, the stores, everybody went in, took all the alcohol out, shut all the bars down, everything. So it was not a happy time. For many years, they were deprived of alcohol. If they wanted some, they had to leave the border. to go, the borders of the city, to go get it. And in the mid-2010s, when James hired the family publicist, Harper Corbin, who is the very same that is his live-in mistress, she convinced him to abolish the prohibition. And her reasoning was that it made James seem too old-fashioned in his ways, and almost like his priorities and his mindset were just trapped in the ways of his forefathers, which we can definitely see. And she was like, dude, that's not good, because alcohol being in the city not only opens up a new source of revenue from your locals, but it also opens up a new source of revenue from tourism. When people come and camp, they want to go to a bar maybe to like hang out and get a drink or whatever, or go to the store and buy a 6-pack and take it out to the woods. Those were her kind of like Harper's, like, here's why you should not have this ridiculous law in place. And James, because he loves Harper and because he loves money, he was like, yeah, all right. So he really liked the idea of that, and because he knew it would help his image, because obviously he was still facing some backlash for how he treats creatures. So he agreed, and for several years, Merlance was wet again. So, so the thing that ruined it a second time was not James, believe it or not. It was some people getting a little too rowdy. And by some people, unfortunately, I mean some of our Jerichos. Namely, the youngest Jericho generation, consisting of Ava, Peyton, and Skyelar.
Oh my God.
They kind of ruined things for everybody. So here's how. Ava, as you know from reading the books, she is quite the party animal. Pun intended.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. She has a real wild streak in her. Her beast is totally under control, but she herself enjoys the party lifestyle. So and it really does, because of her beast, it takes a lot to get her drunk. So she will go and drink in excess, and people try to keep up with her and they get rowdy. It's a whole thing. So, and her beast will not let her get so fucked up that she can't control her human at least a little bit. That's the relationship she shares.
That's a great relationship.
Yeah, her internal relationship with herself. So, and it's a benefit of having that. Basically, when you're a Lycan, you have almost a second brain inside of you that's helping monitor what you do. Of course, Skyelar doesn't drink very much. She never really has. You can tell that from the books. And neither does Peyton. But the three of them used to love going out and having a great time just for the sake of having a great time together.
Just being hellraisers.
Exactly. So they would go and they'd bar hop, they'd pick up guys, have one-night stands, all that fun, youthful stuff that 20-somethings do, right? So that is actually how Peyton met Derek. Fun fact. He was
totally not shocking at all.
He was supposed to be a one-night stand, and he never went away.
He made the second audition.
Yeah.
The first audition went very well.
Yes. And she was like, back. Ooh, I need you to come in again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now we're not going to get quite into Derek and Peyton's history because we only just touched on it starting in book 4. So we're not going to get into that too much. But for the sake of learning why Merlance went to a dry city again, as the story goes, and any of the three girls will tell you this, the three of them, Skyelar, Peyton, and Ava, were at a bar in Merlance with Derek. And Ava found a pretty handsome creature that she was like, oh, I'm totally shacking up with you tonight. Like, you and me is where it's at. And he even had a friend who was interested in Skyelar. So everything was going well. They were on like this nice triple date. It was going well. No one but Peyton was looking for more than a one-night stand because of having Derek there. And then an ex of Ava's came into the bar and started bitching at her for dumping him the way she did. Because evidently...
He didn't make the cut.
Ava, He didn't make the cut. And Ava has a really, really bad habit of just ditching guys when she's done with them, just like last season's wardrobe.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not a good thing. Talk about
cutting bait and running.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Thanks for the audition.
Exactly.
We're good here.
That's just the way Ava has been.
Don't call us, we will call you.
Yeah. And it's not a good way to be, of course, but most guys that she did that to never dared to say anything because she's such a strong creature. Because she's so in tune with her beast, she could take a motherfucker out if you tempt her to.
Yeah.
But this guy who walks into the bar is also a Lycan, was not scared to confront her. He was pissed and admittedly drunk. So he came in.
I knew alcohol had something to do with it.
He came in with his bruised ego and his drunken ways and confronted her. And of course, her boy toy for the night was like, "Whoa, back up, motherfucker! Like, this is my girl, all right?" And of course, Skyelar is like, when the guys start getting physical, Skylar's like, "Y'all, we can't be doing this." So she tries to use her magic to intervene and calm the situation. Well,
didn't go as planned.
That doesn't go as planned because, as you may remember from us saying numerous times, mythics are the most rare species of creature. So when Skyelar uses her magic, some people are like, "What the fuck is happening right now?" And they freak out a little bit.
Talk me down, man. Talk me down.
Yeah. So it freaked people out when she started using magic. And this, mind you, was before the incident took place. So this was
So this was a pre-incident.
This was a pre-incident. So anyway, no one really knows how to react to Skyelar properly because they aren't around mythics all the time like they are Lycans and Sanguis and stuff. The guy that Skyelar was with, that was, you know, the other guy's friend, starts freaking out and calling her a freak and saying that, you know, Peyton and Ava are freaks too. And of course, Peyton and Ava love Skyelar, so they run to her defense. And Ava shoves the guy, which causes her little boy toy there, which is the guy's friend, to get angry with her. And, well, before you know it,
Full-on
brawl, and the entire bar is in an uproar. Lycans are changing left and right, and we have utter chaos in this bar. Humans are getting hurt because of it, and the bar ends up completely destroyed by the time the cops come.
I still want to see I don't care how it's done, but I want to see an actual visual of this. just watch it just go on through, and then they're all sitting there. It's just this melee of fur, fangs, magic, blood, alcohol.
Yep. Bottles being broken like, come at me, bro.
If you turn into a Lycan, they turn into Lycans. We'll all turn into Lycans. It'll be chaos and anarchy.
Yes. And do you want Lycans? Because this is how you get Lycans.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the police come and shut things down and, like, try to take the girls to jail because they started this whole issue by being disruptive. They tried to take the guys to jail too, but the girls are the ones we're focusing on because James wanted to let the girls go to jail. Harper stopped him from pressing charges or allowing the bar to press charges. Harper convinced James to protect those three. Because Harper says that allowing his grandchildren to go to jail for even one night will risk his image because he has to look like a caring family man regardless of whether they're creatures or not. So James does not let his granddaughters go to jail, but he punishes them in a different way by reinstating the prohibition law so that Murrlands is once again a dry city. So we will pause here because that was a lot about the little prohibition. So do you think that happening, that incident before the incident, sort of kicked off James's tirade against Skyelar? Or do you think that was just more of a collective group effort, so James just was like, I'll just remove the alcohol and just let it go?
I think It was both.
Okay.
It was both. It probably kicked off the hatred, but I also think, I don't see why he wouldn't let his grandkids go to jail to teach them, like, that's your consequence.
Yeah.
I mean, I could think of some other things of you need to your actions.
Yes.
But I'm not going to throw that out there right now. But yeah, I feel like it probably didn't hurt. I mean, it didn't hurt his hatred towards her.
Yeah.
It probably started it, and then it just grew with
as more shit happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, well, hey, I think I kind of agree with that it was both, but I also look at it from this aspect as well. It probably shook him a little bit because where he went down such a dark rabbit hole into alcohol and stuff, and then to see, got talked into lifting the ban.
Yeah.
And then seeing what happened to the bar, lichens, magic, all that. You take all that away, what really got it going was alcohol.
Yeah.
And he saw that and was like, ugh! And it probably made him think about his time. Because more than likely, those times when he was sitting there really drinking, he probably did some hell raising at a bar and stuff, and obviously it was smoothed over because he's the mayor. But, and that kind of went in his head. But he probably didn't know explicitly that Skyelar was using magic.
Okay.
But was probably told by eyewitnesses about what she was doing.
Right.
And that put a bug in his ear of, uh-oh.
Like, gotta watch out for this one.
Because obviously she doesn't change or anything else versus the other two.
Right.
So that probably made him leery and was like, well, let's see. If we take away the alcohol, maybe she'll straighten up and fly right.
Okay. That brings us to about 3 years before the events of In the Beginning take place. So, Elias Luck comes to town.
That damn Elias.
I love Elias. He comes to Murr with the intention, now here you're going to find out quite a bit about Elias that you didn't really think you would know or even want to know. He comes to Murr with the intention to just invest in some real estate because that's what he's been doing. He'll invest in real estate, build up a little business, sell it off, move on. That's kind of what he's been doing.
He's a speculator.
Yeah, you could say that. And when he came to Murr, he wanted something that would surely succeed, and he was like, oh, they don't have any bars here. And I love building bars. So let's do that. So he applied for a license to build a few bars downtown. Like, his thoughts were, well, when people get out of work from these office buildings, they can swing by the bar on the weekends or bachelor parties. Like, he had it all planned out in his head. And of course, when he applied for his permits, he was promptly rejected by James. He was like, sorry, dude, we're a dry city. And Elias understood because obviously it's not unusual to have a dry city or a dry county or whatever. But he was intrigued by that specific phrasing of being a dry city and not county because he knew Falshooke Mountain was part of the county. So he was like, so wait, could I potentially build something in Falshooke Mountain? And James was like, I don't know about that. And the thing is, James had only ever extended his legislation to just Murr because of the threat of the creatures of Falshooke Mountain and because of the protection from the state and all that. But it was mainly just because he's like, I don't need to ruffle any more feathers. I'm already doing enough from these damn 20-somethings that want to party. So,
Oh my God, spring break must have been hell for him.
Yeah. So Elias inquires then to James and is like, well, what if I build the bar out there? It's a place where the locals of Murr County can go to unwind while being out of the area of Murrlance, which seems to be your problem. And James is like, and Elias he's a good study of people. So he's like, listen, you're still going to make money for it. It's still in your county. So it's still going to help. And he's like, the amount of fights I will guarantee will be greatly reduced because I myself, this coming from Elias, he's like, I myself am a mythic. So trust me, I can handle creatures and humans. They will not fight under my watch.
I'm surprised James didn't have a coronary right then and there.
At like, oh my God, another mythic?
Yeah. You're one of those.
Well, James did give some pushback. But Elias, persuasive as we know he can be, convinced James to let him build this bar. So he went ahead and built the Devil's Fountain. And he called it that after he discovered that he could tap into the water of the falls through an underground tunnel system that he made that wouldn't disrupt the ecosystem of the falls. So here is a really fun fact. Remember how we were talking about the Jags that summon the merfolk and they get, they have to get rushed to the ER and stuff? Elias is one of the very few creatures to successfully summon the merfolk without incident because the merfolk really like him. So they actually are the reason he was able to funnel that water into the bar because they gave him permission to do it. He was like, oh, this water is like magic and shit. And they're like, yeah, you should take it into your bar. Go ahead. We'll, dig the tunnel. We don't care. And so all they wanted was if he was going to build a bar, they were like, can we have like a pool in there somewhere so that we can come and like socialize with other creatures and stuff if we want to? And he was like, yeah, sure. That's easy enough. So he adds a pool. He makes a basement to the Devil's Fountain and adds a pool down there, which I will talk about in just a moment. Elias learned a lot about the falls from the merfolk. They actually told him how it poisons humans, it doesn't poison creatures. They also claimed that the magic in the water had the ability to give creatures that drank it their greatest desire. So this is where that comes in, what you were talking about. So they say they offered Elias a drink whenever they were doing this. They were like, all right, to celebrate our deal, take a drink. Your greatest desire will be fulfilled. And Elias is like, nah, I think I'll pass. I'm good, thanks. But, I appreciate the offer. And because mainly at that point, he was unsure if he could trust them or even the magic. So after he learned about what happens with the water and how it fulfills the greatest desire, he coined it the Devil's Water. So that's why he named it the Devil's Fountain, because he's like, oh, this is...
You have to strike a deal.
Yeah, exactly. So here's my speculative question for this point. Why do you think the merfolk like Elias so much? Because they are known for attacking creatures and humans alike with no discrimination. So what makes him so special?
Respect.
Okay.
I feel
how does he... Well, he's respectful.
I think it's because he's respectful of it. He knows what it can do. He doesn't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mutual respect thing.
And kind of like the fact that he refused the drink was like, okay, so you really are like taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my feeling on it is because they're mythics. And I think the merfolk have had numerous interactions in the past with mythics.
Yeah.
And they got along very well until the mythics started, I guess they got exterminated or moved on or something, to the point where pretty much the only thing the merfolk dealt with were lichens and sanguis and any other creatures that have not been introduced yet.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I like both of those, so that's good. Hold on to those, as we talk about character analyses and stuff like that. We'll just kind of casually remember that. So, Elias marketed the bar as a creature reprieve. Just because the deadly nature of the falls to humans, he was like, no, this is for creatures. Like, I'm not out to kill anybody. So, and boy, did the creatures flock to him. The outside of the bar, just kind of giving you a descriptor of it, as you can see on our little map, it's all black and very unassuming. He doesn't even have the name of the bar painted up there. People know the name by word of mouth. That's how they know it. And we know
it's like a speakeasy.
Yeah, we know creatures are very good at oral history, so that was probably no difficult thing to achieve. The inside of the bar, of course, as a lot of bars are, very dimly lit. Most of it is in kind of a reddish lighting to maintain that devil hue, and he painted the walls, black and stuff to maintain the mystique. Of course, there is brighter backlighting on the wall with the alcohol, because there always is. You got to showcase the money. Booths and tables are all dressed in black. They have gold and silver accent colors to pop against what little light reflects on them. Some booths are also decorated with rope lighting in various colors, just to give them this like fun.
This sounds more like a gentleman's club than a bar.
Just to give it like this fun, otherworldly glow.
There's no sex in the champagne room.
Yeah. He did.
Apparently, there it is.
Yeah, down in Creature Comforts. Elias just does overall a really good job at keeping with the theme of like magic and mystery as provided by the falls. So he kind of stuck with that theme. He has a small waterfall in the back of that main Devil's Fountain area, where the water flows into it and then it filters down to the basement where the pool is. So creatures, he makes it known, you are welcome to drink from the waterfall, because they say that it will grant you your greatest desire. And as more creatures do that, Elias starts to realize, oh shit, these merfolk really weren't lying. Like, it really is granting these creatures greatest desire. So creatures would talk to him. He knows, because they would talk to him and be like, man, I can't believe that this happened. It's what I've always wanted, and I drank from your fountain, and bam, now it's here, and I've never been happier. But the merfolk, as Elias started learning that, they were like, but you're a mythic, and all magic comes with a price. And he was like, yes, I just haven't heard of anybody paying it yet. And so they were like, well, it basically just depends on the person. It can be something small, it can be something big. We don't know yet. So we know for sure that their wildest or greatest desires will be given to them when they drink from the fountain. When that happens after they drink, no one knows. There's no time frame on it. There's no it'll happen in the next hour. It's just when it happens. And it's different for everybody. So it could even be months or years from when they drink it. But the one thing we do know is that the magic they receive will come with some kind of cost that could be nothing more than giving up a bad habit. Maybe they've been an alcoholic their whole life, and by coming to the bar and drinking from the fountain, now they don't like the taste of liquor. You never know. Or other times, it might be that they receive their greatest desire and then they die. The creatures might get their greatest desire, but then they die because that was the price they pay. Maybe it was a very great desire. There's no way really to know what will happen to whom, but the creatures are not deterred. They drink anyway because of the novelty and the thought of getting your desire. Because, as creatures have told Elias whenever they've drank from it, and this is my speculative question, isn't it better to live for a short time with your dreams fulfilled than to live your entire life without it?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a thinker, evidently.
No, it is a thinker because...
I'm with you, I would say yes.
Yeah. All my dreams have come true. I have nothing else to do.
So I feel like my life is full.
I feel like my life is full and complete. I could die now.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. How many times have you said in your life, "Oh, well, I could die a happy person now because of XYZ happening"?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Couple of times.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, if I meet Charlie Hunnam, I could die a happy fucking woman. I'm
True.
good. Like, I'm good. Me and him get his autograph. We got a picture. What do I need to do now?
Yeah.
I'm happy. You know
I'm interested to see how Derek fits moving forward.
That wasn't the question.
No.
That was not the question.
There's a reason why. Because
Peyton drank from the fountain.
Yes.
And it just so happens in the next book
he shows up.
Alright, but that's not what she asked.
That's
not what she asked you.
You are on to, I see where you're going with this.
That's not what she asked you. She did not say.
For me, no. I would not want to have all my dreams fulfilled.
Right, because you got me.
Yes.
So, what does he need? What does he need? You got this.
Well,
this wonderful
stable finances
hot mess of a person.
But no, because that keeps you going. If you don't have everything, if you don't have your greatest desires, then yeah, you can die. But if you don't have them, it keeps you going. You sit there, because then it opens up into other things that you never thought of beforehand. If I'd sit there let's say in my teens, I sit there and won a lotto or something. Once I got the money, I could have everything I ever wanted.
Right.
What else is there? I mean, what?
Exactly.
Buy a ticket on a rocket and hope I make it up there? I mean...
No, Jeff Bezos.
But that is how the creatures are looking at it. They're like, it's so worth whatever the cost is, because if everything I've always wanted,
right?
But
that's the thing, though. She asked you, would you do that? Like, would you rather just space your whole life out, or would you have everything you ever wanted and just die early?
Yeah, but
I don't want to live till I'm shitting my pants and somebody has to change me. Those years fucking suck. No, kill me now.
Yeah.
When I can still hold it in.
Yeah. And at least the last time I shit my pants, I won't be alive to know it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's... Yeah. Those years that you're close to death when you're old and everything, you're not happy. You're like...
If you even remember who and where you are.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on how healthy you are and everything else. Why would I want to do that? I have Alzheimer's. Everybody's a new person every day. Like,
adventure ho!
Yeah. My best friend sees me every day for the first time. I mean,
it's 51st Dates.
I mean,
I love that movie.
Yeah, I do
I've never
too.
seen it.
Oh,
but yeah,
so good.
It's just one of those things. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to live through.
But
I have to be. Hospice has to come in.
What happens? Okay, say you get your greatest desire.
Let me die.
And you have it
doing
for
120 in my
let's say you have it for a month, and then something happens,
and you die. I'm
like
good.
Charlie Hunnam sits there, comes in, and says, "Hey, I choose you."
Great.
And then he dies.
Okay, then he dies. Then guess what? Me too. Till death do us part. This is a team effort. Where did I go from there?
What if
No. I watch enough shit. I know how to either kill myself or somebody else. Do not try me on that.
What if it's not in your control? What if it's a car accident?
Then I will make it in my control for me to die too.
Circling back to kind of the Devil's Fountain and its importance and everything, as more and more humans caught wind of this fun little bar because of the creatures being so excited about it, they were like, well, I'm going to be brave and I kind of want to go in here. And, Elias was like, listen, you can come in here, but don't you dare start shit with these creatures. And creatures, I'm looking at you too. Don't you dare start shit with these humans. Because Elias is not above kicking everybody's ass if he has to.
Yeah.
So he was like, you are going to be civil. You may not like each other. Go to different sides of the room. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So he actually, to help reinforce the no fighting thing between creatures and humans, he opened up the basement club just for creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's a private place where they can go if they're like, there's this one asshole up here who I've had enough of, and Elias is like, go downstairs. That whole thing. So he had the pool in the basement for the merfolk and thought, might as well just add more to this and make it, a more social place. So, but the catch is, only the creatures who drink from the fountain can go down into creature comforts. So, not just any creature from off the street can go down there. Creature Comforts has a bunch of private rooms, as you kind of get acquainted with throughout the first 4 books here. And it has some public spaces with, couches, and there's a whole other bar down there that's, got a little, lichen or whatever working at it. And then, of course, the fountain, the residual from the upstairs fountain comes down there into its own little fountain as it goes into the pool. So, it's just it's really a place where most creatures of Murr County and the surrounding counties are made to feel safe. They call it, like Peyton even says in one of the books, that Elias, as much as she has conflict with him, she really respects him for creating this safe haven. Because it has helped. And it's like a nice little refuge. So it seems like Elias has found a good way to prevent so much conflict.
And yet he's still hated.
But not everybody immediately took to the Devil's Fountain as a refuge. Mainly because this particular person had her own refuge. So that's right, we're going to shift gears and talk about Skyelar, because you can't have Elias without talking about Skyelar.
God, really?
We're going to talk about Skyelar's house, because her house is
her little
cottage.
Heidi cottage.
Mm-hmm. So on the map, you'll see that she is way down in there. She's the last main location in Falshooke Mountain for us to discuss, and she is, after all, our heroine. So it's a pretty important place. Her entrance is actually right across from the Devil's Fountain.
I don't know what she is yet.
Right. The driveway, the entry to her driveway is actually right across from the Devil's Fountain, but you'd never know it because of her cloaking protection with her magic that she uses, because she is very much a private person. It blinds, the magic she has on her property blinds unwanted or intrusive visitors and prevents them from finding the correct path to her house. So potentially she can send them wandering all the way into the depths of the mountain to get eaten by a creature. She doesn't care. You shouldn't be out here wondering where I am anyway.
Right. Daggone it. You could have took care of somebody real quick in one of the early books.
No, she was letting him come
No, she shouldn't have been letting him go anywhere.
So, to get on the good path straight to her house, she's got these little, if you're one of the people lucky enough that she trusts, you'll be able to see these little purple and yellow flowers as it stands now from book 2 on. In book 1, she had little mushrooms, but Peyton brought her mother there, and with everything with Ezra going on,
when they blew everything up,
yeah, she was like, I got to change my path. So she made it these cute little flowers that glow and everything to shine a light on the path to her house. Her house was built entirely by magic with her own 2 hands. Nobody helped her. Noel was there to provide support, but she did all the heavy lifting because of her magic. It's a 2-story little cobblestone cottage that has an add-on in the back that attaches to her patio. And that little add-on is the only place where she allows visitors because she really just views her home as her sanctuary. Mm-hmm. And this lab/studio apartment that she has serves as the public area. And it is complete. It's like a little apartment because it's complete with a pull-out couch, a full bathroom, a little mini kitchen area, and then she's got, of course, a steel cage in the corner because it is supposed to be her job to detain Peyton during the full moon because, you know, James can't have his granddaughter being a Lycan, heaven forbid, that she actually does what she was meant to do. And then on the other side of the apartment, you know, there's like the couch and everything over here. And then on the other side of it is what she considers her workspace, her lab. She's got all of her genetic research there. She saves her notes in notebooks and on the computer. She's got various sizes of like little greenhouses in there for medicinal and recreational herbs and flowers. Some of them are toxic, some of them are not. And she's got a couple different refrigerators in there that hold samples of things that she studies. There's a black fridge that holds bottles of water from Alchemic Falls because, as Jason pointed out, the merfolk really like Skyelar. So, you know, why do you think that they like her as well? Do you think it's that whole...
I think it is, in the fact that she shows respect, because when she interacted with them in book 4, mm-hmm. you know, one, she was very careful to approach mm-hmm. the pool, and when initially the merfolk were kind of defensive. Mm-hmm. But then when they realized it was her, and I think the reason why is more, even though it's not explicitly told in the meeting, but I think they recognized her magic and was like, oh, it's you.
Okay.
And that's why they were willing to help her versus what they would usually do, like, get this out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. You know?
Okay. I'll brush over the inside of Skylar's actual home real quick, just because I like painting that picture of what things look like. So it's pretty standard. She's got everything kind of neat and tidy, except for her small little office, because that's where she does a lot of her like studying. But she's got the dining room with a small square table, 4 chairs. She's got a horseshoe-shaped kitchen. It's painted. I always like this visual. It's painted like an orange creamsicle, because it's just that nice like welcoming color to me. And she's got a couple little like herb gardens in her windows for the herbs she uses for cooking and things like that. Her living room has a black fireplace with a couch and a few bookshelves. There's a TV in there, but let's be honest, she like never uses it. There's also a front door behind the couch, but that never gets used either. It actually doesn't even open. She just did it as like a show. And then the small office that I was talking about is off of the living room, and that's where she has like her desk and other bookshelves, and that room is usually cluttered with notes and books open and strewn everywhere, because she does a lot of mobile studying, as I call it, where she'll be like at the desk at one point, then she'll be sitting on the floor, then she'll be laying on the couch, then so she's got stuff everywhere.
That's like her thing, is a lot of the time when she's at the house, she's not really relaxing, because mm-hmm. relaxing for her is actually working.
Yeah. Funnily enough, that's exactly what it is for Cordelia too.
Well,
Anyway, so her home, the point I'm driving across here is her home is for her as safe and therapeutic as it gets. So why would she need a creature refuge? Like that's just not her thing. So when the Devil's Fountain got built, it did take her a few months to kind of care enough and be curious enough to go in, because she just wasn't sure what to think, where it's like, there's a bar right across the street from me, and I'm not eager to repeat the last time I was in a bar. So now we're doing a full circle back around. Remember how I said the merfolk offered Elias a drink and he refused? Well, here we come back to that. One night, Elias was chatting with a mermaid who kept insisting he needed to drink from the fountain. And he was like, because he was so glum and he was just seemed so depressed. And she was like, I want you to be happy. I bet that you are brighter than the sun when you are happy. And so he was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. And here's where you kind of see a little bit of Elias's thought process and some of his history. He's like, everything that mattered to me, I've already lost. So what more is there? So he takes a drink. And wouldn't you know it, a few nights later, in walks Skyelar.
Oh, son of a... Really? Oh my God. That just puts book 4 in a whole freaking new light.
So, because that's the night Skyelar decides, I'm curious, let's go in, for some reason. So, she takes a seat on the stool, requests a rum and coke. Elias, because, bars are usually kind of at least curved one way. Elias is sitting around the curve where he can see her, sitting at the bar. And he hears what she wants, and he uses his magic to make the drink for her and sets it in front of her. And that is their meet cute.
Aww.
We will go more into detail on that when we talk about Elias and Skyelar as characters in character analyses. But that is how they met. So, and that was about 3 years before the events of book 1. So, now I ask you, do you think the magic of Alchemic Falls really brought Elias and Skyelar together? Or was it something else, like fate, or the merfolk for some reason, or something like that?
Oh no, I think it could have very easy. I want to say it was the drink that he drank from it.
So without even knowing it, Skyelar was his wildest desire.
Yes.
Yeah. Another mythic.
Yeah.
That would understand.
Okay.
Or they could learn from each other.
If you look at the progression from book 1 to book 4.
I knew he was going to like hearing that.
Look at the progression from book 1 to book 4. Mm-hmm. Especially book 4. Mm-hmm. Don't you think he's paying the ultimate price for the drink?
Is it the ultimate price?
If it's not, it's in its early stages. Because where was he the happiest?
Yeah.
Book 2 and 3.
Yeah. Whenever they were basically uninterrupted together. Mm-hmm.
And what makes the situation so heart-wrenching for him? His old nemesis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he can't get rid of him. But he can't find a reason to kill him? Come on.
So now that you know that Elias has actually drank from the fountain, do you think... Because remember, he said that he's got nothing else to lose. So do you think there actually is a price coming for him?
Yes.
Yeah? What do we think that actually is?
He's going to lose Sky forever.
Oh, shit.
She could very well potentially, go completely off the rails to the point where he may have to do something to either blunt her magic, which he may or may not have the power to do, or he has to put her down. And that would be the ultimate thing. That would be like the ultimate slap in the face for him. That would be, I literally have lost everything.
Yeah.
Because obviously money doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, he's got magic. What does he need money for?
Yeah, but, I mean, he's successful in most of his endeavors and stuff. he's had and has women, you know, in his life. You know, he doesn't have a family, but that's not really what he's been looking for. Maybe he thought maybe with Sky, who knows? That is yet to be revealed. But he's accomplished so much because he's been around for so long.
Yeah.
And this is the one thing that he feels complete about. So, in order for it to be the he's lost everything price, would be lose her.
Okay.
I don't know if losing her to Ezra,
if that equates as the same.
That no, because he could call in that last favor and sit there and be like, well, you know what, you screwed up, dude. You sit there and overstepped your bounds, and I told you what was gonna happen.
Yeah. He has given Ezra an unreasonable amount of chances.
Oh God.
But that
and he doesn't learn.
That shows you Elias's character, that he's, you know, he's always thinking about consequences and things like that. So, you know, and listening to the people he cares about, because he spared Ezra at the behest of Lilith. So, you know, in the latest.
Yeah, but Lilith's on notice.
She is, but it'll get good.
Or as I like to call her, Miss Bellum.
I want to thank you guys for participating in the discussion and keeping it lively and boisterous. You know, like I keep saying in these videos, all of this history stuff we touch on, it may never make it into actual print. So this is like super special stuff that you're getting just by watching these videos. And I am so excited for what next week brings and the next few months of videos and stuff that we'll kind of go back and forth on.
Me too.
Because we are going to start a new series of these videos that I'm so excited. I'm calling it Murmurs of Murr County. And we are going to go through the characters book by book so that we can see their progression.
My goodness.
We're going to start with the characters of book 1 and just kind of analyze and talk about who they are and what their MOs are and all of that stuff. And then we'll start and shift gears into book 2 and talk about their progression and how things have changed. And then we'll bring book 3 into the picture and introduce Hell and talk about all those characters. So this is going to be, these Murmurs of Murr County are going to be the bulk of this channel. Because to me, if I were reading this, I would love to know about these characters and getting to know them like they're real people, because they are real to me, damn it. So I like the idea of doing that. That is something we're going to start in February, which for next week will be the first video, and we will start, of course, with our leading lady, Skyelar, and start kind of getting into her history a little bit. So, or what,
you got
what
a
we
lot
know
to,
of it.
I was going to say, you got a lot to unpack there.
Oh yeah, I got like a whole storage unit of suitcases on her. So, in March, we will pause the Murmurs of Murr County series because that's the anniversary month. So we're going to do things, shake things up and do it a little different. And we'll do that every now and again, where we won't stick to the Murmurs forever. We'll break it up with new things here and there. But I want to start us on a good month discussion of 4 major characters. And we'll start with Skyelar. So we are super excited. Be sure you subscribe so that you can watch those videos going forward. And of course, be sure to like and comment and all that good stuff.
Because you know you want to comment.
Yes, please, please. Let us know what you're thinking.
You can critique how I ask questions and give thoughts about things, because I know I sit there, seem to try to piece everything together, and nobody's really said anything
but it's
yet.
Theorizing, which I really enjoy. I really enjoy it. That's why I wanted to do these videos. So, in the comments for this video, you heard us talk about it. So now I want to know from you, if you were a creature in Murr County, would you drink from the fountain? What would your greatest desire be? And what price do you think you would have to pay in order to receive it? I'm very curious. I think it's a good question to ask. So, and of course, as usual, quick reminder before we go, all 4 of these books that we've been talking about are available directly at StevieJoAuthor.com. Order direct for discounted prices and autographs in the books. And just because it's good to support the indie creators of the world, because we don't get a lot of support outside of like the immediate circle that we live in. So definitely help us out with that. And do not forget, because we are only at this point a couple months away, in March, the second to last weekend in March, we will be at LexCon. The 3 of us will be there with a booth, a big booth this time. We're going to have 2 tables worth. We're going to be cosplaying. I will have the Angel of Death Heaven Encyclopedia for sale at LexCon. Yeah. And that is the first place you can get it. It will not be for sale on my website before LexCon. So definitely come and see us and get it. That it's going to be illustrated by Nishi Studios. It looks amazing from the rough drafts I've seen. Yeah. So definitely be sure that you visit us at LexCon.
Yeah. And come see us, say hi, tell us what you think about the video. Yeah. Or the videos that you've watched and everything. Yeah. Give us your opinion.
Tell me how much I suck at comments.
Tell us what topics you would like us to talk about in the future, because we will take them into consideration and work them in. So I think that does it for this week. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us till the end. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me until the end of the history of Falshooke Mountain. And be sure you tune in next week for the first episode of Murmurs of Murr County featuring Skyelar. And we love you guys. We appreciate you. And we will see you next week.
Catch up on the Angel of Death series today. The first 4 entries are now available directly at StevieJoAuthor.com. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Composition of Imagination to learn more behind-the-scenes info and stay up to date on the fun and lively discussion.